These are two strips of material. They are a rubber coated wire mesh. You can see the wire diameter size there. And the rubber chunks are everywhere on my skin and on the table saw here. They install easily with screws of all kinds. Just poke a hole through it. It will, even if it hits a wire, the wire will deflect enough out of the way that it will install easily. They will also cut to length easily if you cut it to the correct length. It will cut well with tin snips, any color handle. If you want to cut off just a little bit of material, then this is the end result. It gets mangled, the wires get bent, and yes, they can be straightened out with some convincing, and then it's less ugly. But so if you want to try to cut narrow strips, just like scissors cutting paper, if the offcut is too narrow, scissors won't go through it. You need paper cutter or some other things. In this case, I needed to cut it lengthwise as well. You can see the molten rubber here at the edge because it was cut with a table saw on nearly full extension blade, because lengthwise it doesn't cut with a knife and doesn't cut with tin snips if the width of cut is very narrow. Again, same situation. If you just want to cut off a very little bit, the cut is not going to work. It's not the problem or not the fault of the Rodex. I'm just telling you this is how the material cuts. So if you cross cut the whole roll, whatever, just one cut, fine. If you want to shorten it by a 1/4 inch, that's going to be really difficult with hand tools. You're going to need power tools. Likewise, so this is not going to work at all because you're cutting across wire. And if you're trying to peel it off a little bit at a time or whatever, you're going to be spending 2 hours on a 30-inch long strip or whatever, 34-inch long strip. So why did it need to be cut narrower? Because the guy who installed it on a closed door, ran this piece to the floor, and then bolted or screwed it to the door. That's cute, but doesn't work. The floor can be uneven behind the door, and if this has to go through uneven floor, it's gonna stop the door from closing. So this needs to be installed sensibly. So in this case, what needs to be noted right behind the door is the threshold. And obviously this Rodex door sweep needs to clear that. So you have to find the highest spot on the floor and have to make sure that the door sweep clears it, okay? If it's just one lump, you might need to custom fabricate and just carve out one lump out of the door sweep wherever it's hung up on the floor behind. And in this case, a nice and even cut did it. And there is no point adjusting the door closer and make it slam like this, that just so it can clear the threshold or the hump in the floor. None of those really help. You have to fit the door sweep properly to the floor and not just mount it on the outside and walk away. Now that I cut the door sweep narrower, I can mount it back with the same screws through the same holes. Why I needed to cut this strip narrower is because I wanted to use the same screws through the same holes, so the door is not made a Swiss cheese out of. Because once it's mounted wrong, you're gonna have to make it work. You could adjust the door sweep and make second or third holes in the door sweep itself, not in the door. Say put the screws instead of here, just whatever, 3 or 4 millimeters above it or below it, whichever way you want to adjust it. So this is how this ended up. I adjusted the cruiser speed back to decent. It closes as it should. And is it gappy? Yes, because it has to clear the threshold behind it. Is it straight? Yes, it is. So it's not looking brutally ugly. I could remove the molten rubber chunks here, but maybe not, that costs extra. However, mice do chew on this product. They chewed on the outside of this one here before it got capped with that piece of stainless steel in order to get access into the interior there, and then they tried and chewed out this corner here to do the same to gain access here on the hinge side of the door. So it's designed to be rodent proof, and it's not.